We'll come to a comfortable seat and begin to lift up through the spine. Almost as if you were pressing back against a wall. So find that feeling that feels like you're pressed back up against a flat surface. And then press your head back like you're pressing it back into the wall, and even giving yourself maybe even a little double chin. So tucking it slightly. We'll take a few breaths. Begin to do a little check-in, a little inventory. Feeling into the physical sensations. And observing the breath. I'll take a couple breaths here. Noticing if any place is gripping or holding tension or complaining. And just take a few breaths to be with that. And then as you're ready, we'll inhale the arms up and out wide to a V. And then allow the tops of the shoulders to relax down, pulling the shoulder blades a little bit towards each other, snuggling the shoulder blades in there. We'll take a couple of breaths in this wide V, and maybe taking the arms back just a little bit more. Bringing the head back to keep the neck in line with the spine. If the head wants to jut forward, maybe bring the arms just a little bit more forward. See if that gives you a little bit more room in the shoulders to keep the neck in line with the spine. We'll reach actively through the fingers, opening the fingers wide. As you inhale, lifting up a little bit taller through the crown of the head. Take one more breath to reach out maybe a little bit farther with the hands. Exhale, bend at the elbows, draw them down into a W, pulling the elbows down and keeping the elbows in line with the hands. Or maybe we press the hands back a little bit, or maybe you bring the arms in a little bit. Just finding a place where the wrists are lined up over the elbows. You can even take a peek, or if you can see, if you have really good peripheral vision, you can see those hands. And as we draw those elbows, kind of pressing them down and keeping the sternum lifted, feeling the back muscles engage, the upper back. If comfortable, maybe pressing the hands back just a little bit so that you can feel the back muscles really engaging. Take it to a place that feels really comfortable so that you can feel the shoulder blades pull together, the activation of those muscles, opening up the front body, the chest and the shoulders, widening in the front. Your next inhale, reach the arms out wide to a T, palms facing down. The tops of the shoulders drop down again, and then locking those shoulder blades in place. So pulling the shoulder blades together. Yeah, really feeling that engagement through the upper back. Keeping the ears over the shoulders, chin parallel to the floor. And then flip the palms up. And then we'll take a few breaths here and a few in and out, taking the palms down and then up, down and up, down and up. And trying not to move them forward and back, the hands. And letting this movement come from the shoulders, opening up through the shoulders. Yeah, so we'll keep that going here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then pull the elbows into the chest and leave the hands out wide, making an L and a reverse L here. Pressing the shoulders down, pressing the hands down. We'll take a couple of breaths in our L. And if you've noticed that you've started to kind of tip back or lean back or round back, see if we can maybe press forward just a little bit, or forward or back, whichever you need. We're finding that alignment. So the ears over the shoulders and the shoulders over the hips. So you may have to rock back a few times to find that place where the shoulders are really over the hips, where they feel like they're over the hips. And hug the navel up and in here. Feel the low back widen, give it a little bit more space. And then we'll let the arms go, give them a little shake out, maybe rotating through the shoulders, make little circles with the shoulders. Take any movement here, it feels good. Rocking them back and forth, or making little figure eights. And then come back to seated or to stillness and find that alignment again. Ears back over the shoulders and the shoulders back over the hips. And then we'll drop the right ear down to the right shoulder. And you can just move it just in little baby movements, just little micro movements forward and back here. Feeling into the neck, into the top of the shoulder, where the neck and shoulder meet. Eventually starting to make the movements just a little bit bigger. And then continue either making little half moons or bigger half moons. And then we'll bring the head back to center for a moment. Feel that reset. And then drop the left ear down to the left shoulder. Ooh, notice any differences. Then we'll start with our little baby micro movements on this side. Just really slow and small to begin with. Really tuning into that area and noticing what you feel there. And as you work into it a little bit, you can start to make the movements a little bit bigger, if that feels good. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the head back to center and give it a little reset. Then gently make your way to tabletop position. Shoulders over the wrists and hips over knees. We'll get into a little cat-cow. We'll go slowly at first. So on your inhale, we'll drop the belly, reach the tailbone to the sky, pulling the shoulder blades together as we look forward. And take a breath here. Actively pressing down through wide fingers. So really opening up those fingers, pressing down through all 10 knuckles, and then pulling, energetically pulling the hands towards the knees. And pulling the shoulder blades together a little bit farther. and pressing the heart forward. And then as we exhale, we'll start to round through the low back, reaching the navel up to the sky, arching through the whole back, drop the head. We'll take a couple of breaths here, lifting the navel up and in, allowing the head and shoulders to drop, and really pressing down into the hands, feeling the upper back begin to widen. We'll take another breath here, pressing down through the tops of the feet. And then we'll move with the breath. Inhale, drop the belly, come into cow pose. Exhale, lifting the navel up into cat. Inhale, drop the belly, reaching the heart forward. Exhale, arching through the whole spine, tucking the chin, pressing down actively, feet and fingers. And come back to flat back. And really feel lengthening through. Rotate the shoulders so the elbow creases are pointing forward. And then lift the right arm, reach forward, and then lift the left leg back, pressing out through the heel. Hugging up through the navel as we lift up higher out of that left shoulder. And then exhale, we'll bring them back down. Inhale, lift up through the left hand and the right leg. Pressing through the heel as we dial the toes straight down. Reaching actively through the hand. And then lift the navel and lift up off of that right shoulder a little bit. As if you could lift the upper back right off of the mooring. And then exhale, bring it back down. Then curl the toes under, lift the knees and just hover here for a moment, keeping the abs hugged up and in, and feel that wide through the shoulder blades, almost like you're puffing up back through the upper back. And then lift the hips high and back, downward facing dog. We'll take any movements here in our first down dog, maybe pedaling through the feet, taking a comfortable stance with the hands. You can play around with a little wider arm stance or narrower, or with the feet. Maybe dropping the hips, settling in. And then find stillness in your down dog. Rotating the inner thighs towards each other, lifting the hips up high, hugging up through the abs, feeling that place where the sit bones, where your bum meets your thigh in the back, and then lift from there. And then melt the heart down towards the knees, sinking a little bit farther into our down dog. Then shift forward, shoulders back over the wrists into plank. Hold in plank for a moment, feeling that upper back widen. Pressing into all 10 knuckles, all 10 fingertips. And then we'll shift forward onto the toes and bending the elbows, sending the elbows straight back. We'll start to lower down, lowering all the way down. Keeping the belly lifted so that the chest and belly land at one time, all the way down. Take a breath here. And then inhale, lift head, chest, shoulders into our baby cobra, dipping the chin. We'll hold here for just a moment and then lower it down. Take a breath. Then inhale, lift back up into cobra. One more time, pulling the elbows back. You can even play with maybe lifting the fingertips slightly here, pressing the hips down. And then exhale, lower. And then tuck the toes. And press yourself up through all fours or straight up to plank, and then lift the hips high and back. Downward facing dog. And take a breath. Shifting forward once again, shoulders over wrists. We'll bring the right knee to the right elbow. Shifting just slightly forward in our plank. And then send it all the way back. And then take the right knee over to the left elbow, crossing over the midline as we shift forward, shoulders a little bit past the wrists, and then send it back. And then we'll repeat on the left side. Take the left knee to the left elbow first as we shift forward on the toes, and then take it all the way back. And then slide the left knee over, crossing the body to the right elbow, lifting up through the abs, and then take it all the way back. And then walk the feet up to meet the hands. We find our forward fold. Rotate through the wrists or sway side to side. Choose your adventure here. Grasping opposite elbows, interlacing the hands behind the neck. You choose. Bending the knees at whatever level is comfortable. And then coming back to stillness. We'll inhale, slide the hands up, halfway lift. Find the long, long back, hugging in through the abs, sending the heart forward. We'll pause here for a moment. And then lower all the way back down, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms to the side. Inhale, lift all the way up. Extended mountain pose. And then take it all the way back down, flowing back through a halfway lift and then landing into forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift again, hands to shins or to the thighs. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up, reach all the way for the sky. Exhale, hands lower. Stay in mountain pose. We'll take a moment here to find our strong mountain, pressing the pinky toe into the ground, then the next toe, and then the next toe. Eventually, the big toe comes down, pressing all 10 toes down, lifting up through the kneecaps. And we'll take the palms forward and drop the shoulders down. And from here, rotate the inner thighs towards each other. And then rotate them away. And then rotate them in towards each other. And press into the outside edge of both feet. As you press into the outside edge of both feet, that pinky toe edge, notice how the outside of the thighs engage. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reach for the sky, keeping that feeling in the legs. And then exhale, float it all the way down into forward fold. This time, keep the hands planted. Inhale, reach the heart forward. Halfway lift with the hands down. And exhale, fold forward. Plant the palms, take the left foot back, come down onto the left knee. Right knee over right ankle. Set yourself up here for success, maybe wider stance if you'd like. And then we'll walk the hands up to the right knee and then press our torso up. And from here, shift that right hip back, left hip forward, and then lift the hips a little bit higher and press down into the left shin. Inhale, reach the arms up for the sky. Lifting up really tall. And then exhale, bring the hands down to frame the right foot. Lift up the left knee, slide the right foot back. Coming back into plank pose. Hug the elbows into the side body. So as we start to bend the elbows and lower down, the elbows stay tucked into the side. Slowly lowering all the way down, belly and chest landing evenly. And take a breath. Inhale, lift up into a cobra. And exhale, lower. Tuck the toes. Exhale, propel yourself up through plank and then hips high and back, down dog. Take a breath and reset. Pressing into the index finger and the thumb. And then slide the left foot forward between the hands. Lower the right knee. We'll set ourselves up for our low lunge on this side. Left knee over left ankle. And then we'll take the hands to the top of the thigh and then press ourselves up. And from here, again, we'll slide that left hip back. Pressing down into the right shin as we energetically lift up out of the hips. Lifting the navel up and in, and then inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, reach up very high. And then exhale, float the hands down, frame the left foot, tuck the right toes under, lift the right kneecap, slide that left foot back. Find our plank pose. And then hips high and back. Downward facing dog. Take a breath here, tilting through the pelvis so the navel drops down like it's going to kiss your thighs. Then lift up through the right foot, toes dialed down, so that pinky toes facing down. We'll come to our three-legged dog. And then bend the knee, bring it all the way up, right foot all the way up in between the hands. We'll keep up on their left toes this time. And inhale, lift up into our high lunge. Sliding that right hip back. And lifting up out of both hip bones. We're feeling the navel lifting up. We'll take a breath here. And then exhale, lower all the way back down. Frame that right foot. Slide the right toes back. Shifting forward back into plank pose. Hugging up through the abs. Squeezing the elbows into the side. As we slowly lower, bending the elbows, but keeping the abs lifted so it doesn't drop. We don't want the abs to drop first. Lower all the way down to the belly. Inhale, lift up into cobra. Exhale, forehead to mat. Take a breath. And then you got it. Exhale, press up through plank and then lift up high and back. Downward facing dog. Take a breath to rotate the shoulders outward and the inner thighs towards each other. And then lift up through the left foot, dialing those left toes down, pinky toes pointing down towards the ground. And then bending the knee and sweeping the left foot up to the left hand. We'll stay lifted on the right knee this time. Situating that left knee over the left ankle. As you're ready, we'll inhale, sweeping up into our high lunge. Sliding the left hip back. Right hip forward. Take a breath to lift up out of the hip bones. And then exhale, float the hands back down, frame the left foot. Slide the left foot. This time we'll just lift the hips up high and back. A downward facing dog. Shake out the head, the shoulders. Wiggle and jiggle what needs to wiggle and jiggle. And then lift up the right foot again, back to our three-legged dog. keeping the pinky toes dialed down. We'll bend the knee, slide the right foot all the way up to the right hand. And then plant the left heel down. We're setting up for our warrior two. So we'll inhale and swing the arms up, cartwheel the left hand back, right arm forward, bending into the right knee. Come into our warrior two on this side. Opening that left shoulder. So the left shoulder is lined up over the left hip. All in line. We'll take a moment here. And then energetically press the feet away from each other like we're going to pull the mat apart. Take a breath. Remember to breathe. And we'll keep the knee bent, lift the right arm up and overhead, reverse warrior, letting the left hand drop down to the thigh. And then bring it back through warrior two, and then bring the right forearm down to the right knee, lift the left hand up high, extended side angle, and you could keep it straight up and down or reach it over the ear. You can play around with that. We'll take a breath here, pressing the feet actively away from each other, hugging up through the abs. And then inhale, lift back up into warrior two, looking over your right fingertips, straighten through the right knee, and then sending the right fingertips forward, hips back. We'll start to drop into triangle. Take the right hand down to the right shin, and then lift the left hand and reach up to the side. And then we're going to inhale and just slide the right hand up a little bit higher. And then exhale, sink it back down a little bit more. Inhale, lifting up, feeling those oblique muscles, those side abs starting to work as we slide slowly up and down in our triangle. On your next inhale, we'll come back all the way back up, bend through the right knee one more time. Find our warrior two again, dropping through the shoulders, dropping the tailbone down. And then inhale, straighten through the leg, dial both toes forward, finding our star pose. Inhale, lift up through the arms, reach up. Exhale, halfway fold. So instead of halfway lift, halfway fold. Bring the hands to the thighs, to the hips, to the hip creases rather. And then press the fingers, taking the thumbs back to the back. And pressing the forefingers into those thighs, into the hip creases, and then sending them back a little bit farther. Pulling the shoulder blades together, find that long back, bringing the ears so they're still in line with the shoulders. And then exhale, drop all the way down into our wide-legged forward fold. Let the shoulders drop and hang. Keep the kneecaps engaged and lifted through the thighs. And take a breath. Let the low back widen left to right. And bring the hands back to the hip creases. Press back one more time. Inhale, lift up halfway, hugging up through the abs. Lifting the back of the neck like you're lifting up a cat by the scruff of the neck. Engage through the glutes. Feel the glutes turning on here. And your navel pressing up and in. Inhale, lift all the way back up. And then we'll shift the left toes out long. I'm going to switch into our warrior two on the other side. We'll bend through the left knee. Sorry. Taking our warrior to the other side. We'll reverse it in a minute. And then reach the arms out wide to a T. Drop the top of the shoulders so you can feel them dropping down in space and engaging through those shoulder blades, pulling them back together. We'll take a few breaths here in our warrior two. And then inhale, lift up through the left hand, reaching up over into our reverse warrior. And then coming back through to our warrior two. Take a breath and then exhale the left forearm down to the left knee and reach up through the right hand, our extended side angle. And here we'll again play here with either taking it all the way up overhead, over the ear and reaching it forward, or keeping it straight up. As you take it forward and up, notice how the muscles of the side change and activate. And then inhale, lifting back up into our warrior two. We'll take one more breath here to look over the left fingertips, pressing the feet actively away, lowering the low back, letting it really sink back there. And then we'll straighten through the left knee and tip over into triangle, bring the left hand down to the left shin, opening up, looking up towards the right fingertips, reaching up towards the sky. And then begin to gently sink down a little bit lower through the left hand and then slide it back up. Sliding it down and sliding it back up. Sliding it down a little bit more. Take another couple of little slideys. And then lift all the way back up into our warrior two. Sink that knee, bending in the knee one more time. And then inhale, straighten through the knee, tip them both feet forward. We'll slowly lower through the hands and heel toe the feet together. Maybe shake it out a little. Well, we're set up for a little tree pose. So first we'll start with our feet hip width apart. And then we'll slowly start to take the right foot out to the side to the ankle. And then maybe sliding it up to the calf. And then finding your tree today. Pressing the right foot into the left, letting the knee go out to the side. Take it above or below the kneecap. And then either bringing the hands to the heart or reaching them up high, or even out to a T. Hugging up through the abs, sending the low back down, and relaxing through the shoulders and relaxing through the jaw and the face. Let the skin of the face relax. We'll take one more breath here. Nice, slow and steady. And then exhale, slowly drop through the legs, shake everything out. And as you're ready, we'll set up for our tree on the other side. So we'll start with our feet fully grounded, hip distance apart. Give us a little space here, and then we'll slowly begin to bring the left foot up to the ankle, to the calf, above or below the knee. Pressing the left foot into the right leg, and the right leg presses back into the left foot. And then we'll take a few breaths here in your tree pose today. Finding that spot in front of you that's not moving to rest your gaze upon. If you need an extra challenge, you can even try closing your eyes. I don't think I've got that one in me today. Taking one more nice full breath in and out. And then lower with grace, with ease, or, kerplop. It's all good. And then just shake it all out. Ooh, rotate through the wrists, the ankles, maybe shimmying the shoulders, the hips. Just take a moment here again to find movement. What is speaking to you? And then as you're ready, we'll come back to face the short edge of the mat, finding our mountain pose. As you're ready to find stillness, it may take you another minute. It's taken me another minute to settle in. And then ground the feet down, press the hands down, shoulders locking down, navel lifting up and in. And then inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, look up, maybe a baby back bend here. And then exhale, float all the way down into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long through the neck. And exhale, fold back down. And then we'll bend, sink the hips back, and then sweep the arms forward, reaching into our chair pose. And then tucking through the abs here, lengthening through. You can reach the arms forward or up at the ears, your choice today. And then we'll sink maybe a little bit lower into our chair. And then begin to lift up the heels a little bit, coming up onto the toes. And then back down. And then reaching out into our head, our arms extended. Reaching the arms forward and finding that flat back. And exhale all the way forward, fold. Bend the left knee, reach the right arm up to the sky. And then exhale, bring the right hand back down. Inhale, bend the right knee a little bit more and lift the left hand up, twisting open towards the left. And then exhale, bring it back down. And then we'll bend the knees, coming all the way down into a little squat. And then coming back onto all fours. Back to our tabletop position. We're going to go through a little hip mobility. So we're going to lift the right leg back, toes dialed down, and then take it out to the side, to the right side. Keep it lifted, but out to the side, and then bring it back around to the back, cross over the left, and tap over behind the left. All the way over, crossing it over. And then bringing it back to center, and then over, back out to the side, this time planting it down. And then we'll lift up into our gate pose. So we'll lift up the torso, reach up through the arms, and then bending over towards that long leg. Nice side bend here. And then reach back up. And we're going to play with sitting down without bringing our hands down. So maybe slide that left foot back a little bit and start to come down into seated very slowly. And then landing here. And then we'll side bend over this long leg. Reach the left hand over, long over the right side. Center. And then we'll take a really gentle twist over towards the left. So take the right hand to this left knee still here, very gently twisting towards the left. And exhale, bring it back to center. And then we'll bring the right leg back in. And then we'll set up for that whole flow on the other side. So bringing yourself back to a tabletop position, and whatever means is comfortable for you. Hands, shoulders over wrists here, and hips over the knees. Lift up through the back foot. reaching those pinky toes down, reaching through the heels. And then we'll take it over towards the left side. Let it hover, using those hip muscles there, and then bringing it back to center, and then crossing it over to the right and tapping it off to the side here behind you. And then bring it back to center. Then take that left foot back over towards the left side, plant the foot all the way down, and walk your hands up so we're lifting our torso up into our gate pose on this side. Inhale, sweep up the hands, reaching up, and then side bend over that long leg. Reaching the right hand over. And inhale, reach back up to center, hug in the abs. And then from here, we'll swing that right heel in a little bit and slowly play around with lowering all the way down. Very slowly with control, lowering all the way down onto the bum. Yeah. And then from here, we'll take our side bend over towards the left. And then coming back to center. We'll bring the hands down and then we'll do a little side twist towards the right, taking the left hand to the right knee and just twisting gently over towards the right. And then come back to center. We'll bring that left foot back in. And from here, we're going to set up for a little deer pose. Or cheerleader pose, I like to call it too. So we're going to first just send that right leg out, ignore it for a little while. And we'll focus on the left leg. We'll send it straight out into, right straight out from the left hip. Make an L or a 90-degree angle with the left foot. And then swing the right foot back behind you, bending at that knee. So we have a couple of 90-degree angles. We have one here, we have an L here, and then we have an L here with our back foot, our deer pose. And this right hip is going to be lifted up a little bit. If this is very uncomfortable, you can throw a blanket or pillow up under there. We'll take a few breaths here. Sitting up as tall as we can. And then we'll walk the hands forward here to a place that's comfortable. We'll do a little gentle forward fold here. Whatever place is comfortable. If you want to come all the way down onto the forearms, then you may do so. If not, then don't. And we'll take a couple of breaths. And gently begin to walk yourself back up. And then we'll swing this right leg back and shake out both legs. And we'll set up for our deer cheerleader on the other side. So we'll keep that left leg out, not worry about it for a second. And then bring the right knee straight out from the right hip socket and then bending it over, make a 90-degree angle. Nice little L there. And then we'll swing the left leg back and make an L back here. So we have two L's. And then shift and situate to whatever place is comfortable. We'll take one breath to lift up really tall, really long. And then we'll gently just walk the hands a little forward. And sinking onto the forearms or onto your fists. You can make a little pillow with them, or if you have a block, you can rest it up under your forehead or a pillow here. We'll take just a couple of breaths on this side. And we'll slowly walk it back up. And swing that left foot back around and give it a little shake out. The legs a little shake out. And then we'll send the legs out in front of us and get ready to lower onto the back. So we won't be fancy with it today. We'll just come all the way down to the back, or whatever way is comfortable for you. And then settle it in. I like to sigh it out when you first come to the back. Feel free. I'll take a breath and just let it out. And then we'll walk the feet up to the glutes, so bending the knees here and hugging the knees into the chest, giving them a nice squeeze. And then lift the feet up high, reaching the heels up towards the sky. And then we'll reach the hands up overhead and let them rest there behind your head. And then pressing the low back down firmly down into the mat. We'll hug that navel all the way down to the spine. And then slowly begin to lower the legs just to a place to where you can still keep the low back down to the mat. And then we're going to lift the head, the torso, and reach forward. And then we're going to do our little the Pilates 100 here. So we're going to press down, and then we're going to press down with our breath. So inhale, lift the hands, exhale, shh, down. And it helps to make the shh sound. Yeah. Shh, 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 shh. In, up, down, in, out, out. Couple more, keeping those abs engaged, flat back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hug the knees into the chest. Give them a squeeze, rock a little side to side. And roll the head along with it. And take this opportunity to get a massage for the whole back. Yeah. And from here, I'm going to take the knees out wide, soles of the feet to touch. So like our butterfly, but in the air. We'll keep the low back flat down to the mat here again. And then reach the hands straight up, palms facing each other. And press the feet together. And then we're going to lift the head, neck, and the shoulders and reach forward towards our toes. And then back down. Pressing the low back flat down into the mat again. Lift up, reach for the toes, and back down. And 2 more times. Lift up, reach forward, and back down. And 1 more time. Lift up, press the low back down into the mat, and then lower. Bring the knees back together, squeeze them in, rock side to side. Let the neck flow side to side too, rocking one ear down and then the other. And then we'll bring the feet back down. And plant the feet hip distance apart. We're going to set up for a little bridge. So we'll take the hands, and this time we're going to press the elbows down and lift the hands up. So we're going to come into like a robot arms here. Elbows are pressing down. And with that, we'll pull the shoulder blades together and keep the fingers wide, palms facing each other. We'll take a breath. Next inhale, we'll press up into bridge pose. And just hold here for a breath, lifting the chest up to the sky. Pressing down into the elbows, down into the feet. And as we exhale, we're going to come from the shoulders and slowly lower down the spine all the way down. And then we'll bring the hands down to rest, palms facing up. And rock the knees a little side to side. Take the feet out wide to the mat and drop the knees towards each other, our constructive rest pose. And take a couple breaths here. Beginning to feel the breath again, tuning back into the breath, feeling it come from the belly first. Lifting the navel like you're filling up a balloon, then into the ribs, and then filling up the collarbones, feeling them widen. And then exhale from the collarbones, the ribs, and then the belly. And take a few more breaths, just like that. And then walk the feet back together. Keep the hands out, take them out to a T. We'll gently shift the hips left and drop the knees to the right. Let the left shoulder drop down and be heavy. Gentle supine twist. Connecting again to the breath, letting it flow from the navel up. And then exhale, the collarbones down. And then drawing the knees back to center, lift the hips. Slide the hips over towards the right side, and then drop the knees over towards the left. Let the right shoulder be heavy, like it's reaching for the mat. Following that wave of your breath as it flows up and down. And slide the knees back to center, lift the hips, reset them to neutral. And then we'll take any last movements here that we need. Any last movements you need to set up for our final resting pose. As you're ready, wiggling and twisting anything else that wants to wiggle and jiggle. Take a massage into the mat. And then as you're ready, we'll bring the feet out long, drop the feet out wide. Let the arms come down comfortably by your side, gently with the palms facing up, snuggling the shoulder blades slightly together. other side out. Using our resting pose today to help integrate the practice, integrate the body and the breath and the movements. As if all the pieces of yourself were pulling back to center. Imagining your heart like a magnet. Feeling all the rest of the body hugging in towards the heart center. Following the rhythm of your breath. Scanning the body for any places of gripping or tension. And gently send your awareness and your breath there. Finding harmony. Feeling the whole body widen a little bit more, sinking a little bit deeper. Allowing a wave of warmth to wash over you. And then centering that warmth right in the heart center. Feeling that glow and warmth in the center of your chest. And then letting that warmth begin to grow bigger, spreading into the rest of your torso, down through both arms, both legs, and rest for a few moments in that warmth. Slowly begin to deepen the breath. Start to wiggle through the fingers and the toes. Beginning to make the movements a little bit bigger. Eventually bringing the knees up and then gently rolling onto one side. And taking a few breaths and appreciation for the body and the breath and the mind. Appreciation for yourself and the time that you took here. And as you're ready, gently press yourself up to seated. Come to an easy seated pose and take a few breaths and notice how you feel.